Welcome to Ragnarok, a massive map with diverse biomes, lush underwaters, and hellish giant lizards that send demon flames everywhere. Pikon has taken over this mass landscape, and I've been tasked with cleaning up the island of all impurities, but before I get to him, I have to take on all of his underlings, progress through the mod, and wipe out his 4 generals. Welcome to 100 Days on Primal Fear. It's about time. If you're interested in playing alongside me and want a good reliable server to play Primal Fear on, you should check out Vanquished Arc down below, as we're going to be releasing a Primal Fear PvP server and PvE not too soon. But anyways, let's go into this video right now. Starting off on day 1, I would take a cheat code that everyone should know on Ragnarok. If you spawn over at Blue Obelisk, there's a bunch of boxes you can break which can give you metal tools, crossbows, arrows, and spears. So that would be my first objective.
Ooh, big green parasol.
Huh?
Bad, Mr. Parasol! Bad!
After having my first close death encounter on Primal Fear, I'll start by putting my levels into appropriate stats, picking a bunch of rocks off the floor to make myself a stone pickaxe, and then I would beat up this pebble.
Oh, baby, that's what we like. That is what we like to see. Loads of crossbows and pikes. Thank you.
I would farm up every remaining crate in sight in hopes of getting some more loot, but to be honest, all I got was hatchets and swords and spears, so I kind of just left the last couple and moved on. And after I did that, it was back to hitting some rocks, and then I wanted to kill this toxic parasol.
Whoops.
Huh? Ah!
Oh, well, this is the end.
Please stop. Stop. Friendly?
Oh, well.
Bye, have a great time.
Wait.
Huh? Okay. Yeah, this green guy would smoke me a further 2 times before I got him.
Oh my god, it's done. It's done. Victory!
To be honest with you, I don't know why I was celebrating though, as I wasted most of day 1 trying to kill that parasol and just hitting some craze. But to wrap up the day before it did go into day 2, I would craft up a bunch of stuff such as cloth gear, trank spears, healing shoes, and cooking pots for XP. I'd also craft myself a reusable bowler, put some level ups in, and then I would travel a bit inland, where I would place down a campfire and start making some food as I was starving to death. Continuing into day 2 nicely, I'll start off by killing another toxic parasol, farming some stone, some wood, and some more wood as well. I'll then craft myself up a stone base and start heading towards Viking Bay, as that's where I planned on building. I would kill a toxic dodo and farm some metal in the meantime, and then kill this apex dialer.
Oh my god. Thank you. That's very tasty. Oh my god. That a spirit dodo? Yeah, we need to stay away from that.
Turns out that dodo was following me the whole time and killed me, which sucks. That's another death to add to the tally. And again as well on top of that. But anyway, once I did that and got back to my loot, I took this purple drop which gave me a chitin helmet and some Mastercraft ghillie boots. I probably wouldn't end up crafting the boots anyway, but it'd be nice to have. I'd also kill this alpha dodo, which would give me some more loot. If you guys didn't know, on Primal Fear, the higher tier dinos you kill, the more loot you can drop. So if I randomly start appearing with good long necks, pickaxes, hatchets and stuff like that throughout the video, remember, you kill stuff, you get good loot. But anyway, I'd farm up a bunch more toxic dinos and this parasol, and then head to my base spot. With the base placed and all set up on this little divot that leads out into the water, I'll start by placing some campfires to make sure I could cook some food, and then I'll set up some refining forges outside, make sure I didn't also block my beautiful view from the windows. I'll then go farm some wood to make sure to fill the forges, and whilst I was doing that, I started taming dodos as well. As if you've never played Primal Fear before, all you console players, basically the way you progress by it is starting from the bottom from the top. So I would need dodo eggs to make toxic kibble, I need toxic kibble to make alpha kibble, and so on and so forth. But basically, after I had all that planned, I set up another little window view with the mortar and pestles and would craft myself a metal pickaxe. And with that all out the way, we venture into day 3. But to show you why most YouTubers don't venture out at night time on Primal Fear, I went out in search for some crystal, polymer, and some other little bits, and ended up getting the scare of my lifetime in between. Oh my god. I'm so dead. I'm so dead. I'm so dead, please! Oh, I'm alive. I'm alive. Okay, run. Thank you, Sabertooth. He's following me! Day 3 in general was one of the worst days on this entire Primal Fear series, so let me just explain. Basically, we started off the day by grabbing some crystals, as you remember me saying earlier. I'd kill this dilo, go farm whatever it had on it, and then I would head up the mountain towards Castle, where beaver dams spawn and loads of rich metal nodes spawn. I would gather a bunch of the rich metal nodes, and then I would head further up the mountain where I would die to a Primal Tech Rex. That wasn't exactly an issue though, as I made my way back up there, got my loot, and then went further down the mountain to tame this Pteranodon. This Pteranodon would then die, and I would also die as well after. So, with that out the way, I went further up the mountain again as I was still in need for paste. And then, I would die yet again, by a Primal Tech Vessel. Yep, I would then go up the mountain again, die to a Spirit Rex, but when I got back up the mountain, the Spirit Rex was dead and my body was nowhere to be seen. I'd pick up all the bags of all the dinos that had died from the Spirit Rex, and then I would find my body but die by a Primal Tech Parasaur yet again. After all of that happened, I just said no way in hell am I dealing with that, and I just jumped off the cliff and ran away, cause yeah, we had some pretty good loot on us this time, but after that many deaths constantly and wasting like half the day and it nearly being nighttime, I just really wanted to give up. For the rest of day 3, I basically just sat at base, waited for metal to smelt and crafted a few other things. Not much else happened as I cooled off from how much chaos was in that day. Day 4 was a good day for progress if I'm honest with you. I would start off the day by starting to farm up some more dodos so I could start grabbing myself kibble. I think I went around and tamed around 3 or 4 of them. I used this weapons plus club to do it as I accidentally killed a few with the trank spears that come with Primal Fear. But anyways, with soul traps now crafted from the crystals I farmed the day previously, we could grab ourselves a few. I think I grabbed myself around 4 to make it a good amount and even, and then I'd grab a Lymantria, grab this Genesis dino that I forgot his name of, and then I would throw out all the dodos to farm up some eggs. Now, one thing I did want to get towards the end of this day was the soul machine, as if you had it, you can actually place it down, store your soul trap dinos in it, and they develop the eggs for you in there, getting them easily. But with these eggs now, I could start making more kibble later on. I would just need to grab myself some crops first. But anyway, next on my agenda was grabbing some flyers as I was fed up of running around land. I accidentally killed one of them, but I managed to get another one, level 20, and a few level 50s in between. We could also use these dinos for eggs, which wasn't a bad thing, but I would get jumped by some normal annoying compies in the meantime. I'd also lock down this level 90, which had okay stats and would work for now, and I'd kill this Alpha Dilophosaurus, which gave me some pretty decent loot, to be honest with you. I'd also knock out this Triceratops as I wanted to use it to grab myself any berries or seeds that I would need to place in crops later on. We could also use it to grab narcotics, which is probably the most useful resource that you will need in Primal Fear. But as it came to nighttime, my Pteranodons had started to tame, and everything else was tamed, including all the Pteranodons, Trikes, and Dodos, and now I could travel back to base just before it would hit day 5. But first, I would head over to the ice and grab myself a bit of polymer, and I would also grab a little bag of some loot that I found. I don't know, I didn't kill anything for it, but we did avoid this massive manticore that would be sure to set us back to stage 1 if it found us. When I got back to base, I had picked up some eggs, and then I realized that I could finally craft myself a soul machine with the metal that had finally smelted. But first, I would lob out all the Pteranodons and Trikes and stuff so they could all start making eggs. And boom, soul machine is made, and now I can store everything inside it, and I don't have to waste any more space on top of this cliff. Starting off day 5, I would begin by crafting myself a bunch of crop plots, as I would need crops to progress throughout this mod, and without them I wouldn't make it anywhere. So, in a very lazy manner, I would place them just below base as I was closer to water, I would farm any nearby metal nodes, and then I would irrigate them and get them done. Which was pretty handy, as well, I live right next to a lake. I'd also craft myself a trike saddle and then grab this purple drop nearby, which didn't give anything too good. How has this happened? How? I don't know. Will I farm it? Hell yeah. Oh, prime fish meat as well. Yummy. With a trike saddle now crafted, I'd go just below base back to Viking Bay and start hitting any nearby bushes for seeds. I would then go drop them into my crop plots and use all the poop I had gathered from all the dinos, add one more just to make sure, and then I would head over to Highlands NE, where I'd farm up some metal nodes and look at grabbing some more rocker root and potatoes I didn't grow here. Yeah, I needed them for kibble and I didn't exactly want to have to wait for it to grow, so this was a quick shortcut for me. With all of the crops now gathered, all we was missing was rare flowers. I would head over to this beaver dam and see if I could grab any out of it, but there was none in it. I got some silica pearls and some stuff, so that was nice. And when I got back to base, it was nighttime and we were approaching day 6. But first, I could craft myself up some kibble, which was the biggest win of this day. Toxic dinos was now a tier we had acquired, and would have to work towards getting ourselves some toxic dodos, so we could look at working towards alpha next. Day 6 was nothing short of content though. I'd start off by crafting one elemental kibble, and then I would start by taming a toxic carbon emissary. We whacked him in a soul trap, and I tamed a bunch of toxic dodos as well, crafted myself some alpha kibble, and then I would notice that a primal Kentro was running around laying havoc to everything that I wanted to tame. But exactly, it wasn't an issue for me, as I got to farm up all the loot, tame another toxic dodo, take everything back to base, and now we could start producing eggs and more kibble. And by that point, it was day 7. Day 7 begins with me taming some more alpha dodos and just farming the usuals to make sure I could progress to elemental kibble by the end of this day. I'd cryopod them both up and end up taming them, and then I'd head back to base, as my next goal was to get the elemental tier as I mentioned before, but they were just way too strong for me. I don't know how I survived this here, as they seem to de-aggro quite quickly, but I was no match for these electric dinos yet, or any of the parrots by any means. So my next bet would be farm a trap. But first, I wanted to try and hit a good blueprint from one of the drops in the ice cave, and I didn't get anything apart from an ascendant crossbow, so that really wouldn't be helpful for the time being. I would go back to base and craft myself up some elemental kibble though, go pick some rare flowers, as it was the last thing I was missing from crafting more stuff, and then after that, it was on to back to base, where I could actually start crafting myself some of the Apex toxic narcos from Apex mod that I don't even remember how I got earlier on, and we could also craft some alpha narcotics as well. I'll craft myself some toxic trank arrows, and then I would go back out and start trying to grab myself some parrots, which didn't work. So I would set up a wooden billboard trap around the next parrot, and safe to say that didn't work either. Yeah, hopefully you guys learn from my mistakes here, but I would keep running outside of my base, picking up my loot, and tranking out this ice parrot until eventually it did get knocked out. It would fall asleep in the water, but since everything tames incredibly fast with the kibble on this, I wouldn't have to worry. Oh, it's asleep. Thank God, man. Why was that so hard? Now it's just drowning in the water though. Where is it? Oh my God. Kibble, please. Please, don't drown. Eat it and get up. Please. Do I have a tame? Oh. I have a tame helper. Eat. Thank you. Thank you. Sweet. We have an ice parrot. Now I need a saddle somehow. We have one. So for the next parrot I would tame, I would make sure to upgrade the trap to stone, as I didn't want it breaking out and absolutely gangbanging me yet again. I would go for a simple 4-trap layout with 2 doors, leaving the middle part open, and then the hard part was getting it inside the trap, which took a few deaths granted, but eventually I got this electric guy in here, and next up was tranking it out, which, to be honest, with 56k door bore and only having like the second best tranks in the game at the moment, yeah, it took a while. As we approached the end of day 7, this bad boy got tamed, I would die once more, and then I would rest at base for the night, and day 8 would come about. Day 9 was a day that basically contained a bit of everything. For starters, I'd go around and pick up everything around my base, and then I'd extend it out by 1 to 2 foundations on certain points. That way, I could start placing out more refining forges, farming more metal, and doing other things. So, I extended the base out even more. I also made some ammo casings, and then would make some alpha tranquilizers, as I had plans on taming this alpha Elder Moss Chops. You didn't know, the Elder Moss Chops is one of the best early game tames in Primal Fear, due to the sheer amount of HP and melee damage you can get. These guys can do so much damage, so if you're playing through with me, or plan on playing through in the future, definitely get some. I'd start making some stone gates after though, and then I would look towards taming, one of these parrot things. Wasn't going to make the same mistake as last time with using the wood, but make sure you kill all the other parrots nearby, as they do like to gang up on you. I nearly died quite a few times. I finally got the parrot out and managed to avoid dying to the other one though. It was just kind of circling around my one, but it wasn't doing any damage, so I kind of ignored it. I'd kill this dodo that was bullying me for quite a while outside the base, and then by the time that was done, I went nearby and cleaned out a bunch of fabled tames and got some pretty good loot in the meantime. Nothing too crazy like a fabby or anything, but it works, so yeah, I'll take it. I also got a bunch of XP, which was super nice, and then by the time I'd finished leveling my moss chops, it was time to feed my electric parrot, and now we could use its eggs for even more kibble. I'll soul trap up that bad boy, and then go along the Ragnarok beaches yet again, and just clean up a bunch of tames, getting blood, hide and other things, and then I'd farm a little bit of nearby metal so I could fill my forges a bit out, and then I'll drop all the loot I didn't need to carry, and go back to base and deposit all the loot that I did want to store, and not lose somewhere random on the map. I got a nice fabby, we got a bunch of blood, a bunch of hide, and some electronics and LE dust, which would all be useful later on. When I got back to base though, it was time to craft some more Apex narcotics and start also crafting some alpha infused narcotics as well. We'd need all of these to make certain tranq darts so we could start knocking out the higher tier of tames. With the Apex Tranquilizer darts, we unlock that whole new tier now, which is a lot better for us. But before night ends, I had a few more things to do, and that'll split all the metal between all the forges and the wood so it would all smelt evenly, and we could get a bunch of charcoal cooking quickly. Now, I know there is charcoal trees on the other side of the map, but venturing over there would be a bit difficult for the moment, so we would just have to smelt it. I'd also grab all of the eggs that had been passive producing through the cryo soul terminal thing? Yeah, and then we'd craft up some more elemental kibbles for whatever, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, I kind of noticed that I had died quite a lot in the last couple days, and there was a bunch of my body bags everywhere. Anyways, at this point, we were now into day 10, and I wanted to get so much done in this day, so we would start as early on in the night as possible. First, it was the hunt to grab as much of blood and hide of various different creatures as I can. I'd also kill a bunch of corrupted stegos for some easy poly, and the nearby enforcers as well. Now, I'd still have to be careful up here as the dino tiers are higher, and there are a bunch of beaver dams as well, which was my main focus. By morning, we managed to get up there, but if you didn't know, as soon as you loot a beaver dam, all of the beavers nearby will come to attack you. Yes, that includes the fabled tier ones as well that you just saw, but with the Elder Moss Chops, as I said, it being one of the best early game tames, we absolutely cleaned out most of them, grabbing all of the cemento case, silica pearls, and rare mushrooms that came along, which I could use for alpha narcotics later on. But for now, it was cleaning out as much as I could, and cleaning out the fabled dinos as well, as I wanted some good blueprints, some free resources, and XP potions most of all. As I was making my way up to the ice to farm some poly, I'd come across this featherlight, which was the ice variant just nearby, and I thought since it was a decent level, I should definitely tame it, but first I'd clean out all the nearby wolves as I didn't want them attacking it after I knocked it out. I'd bowler this guy and yeah, well, run away from my life, so that didn't work, but I would try and trap him in one of these gates. I can't lie to you guys, it took me a while, but eventually I kind of just gave up with it and I would just start tranking him out. Eventually I knocked this bad boy out, and now we would have a really good flyer for the early game. The ice featherlight could freeze tames, it was quite quick, and it did some decent damage. But I would fall trap to a rocket penguin yet again. I've died to these things many times, but I would manage to get my way back up there, and my Elder Moss Chops hadn't died, so I was perfectly fine. Now though, I would definitely spyglass all the penguins I would eat, as I didn't want to die again. I was a bit surprised by how poor the Moschops was at farming poly though, but anyway, after I did all that, I didn't really want to risk dying with all the loot I had been farming up, so I would venture back to base. As you could tell, pretty battered up and bruised, as yeah, look at my gear, it's non-existent. But anyway, after jumping off the cliff a few times, I finally made it back down to land. But first, I'd need to be careful, as there was a bunch of Pegamastax nearby, which I could use for their blood, but I didn't want to risk dying, as I nearly did here. Quickly though, I made it back on, and survived by the skin of my teeth.
It's been a couple days since I've last played, and I logged back on, and where's all my stuff gone? I swear I had a full set of gear. I remember getting along though. I can't remember how. It's actually been such a long time. I remember I got Eric. It's actually been like a week and a half since I played this, so I'm very confused, but whatever. We'll start with smelting metal. Nearly got enough for an indie forge, and we're just going to continue. What day are we on now? Day 10? Okay. After not logging on for a couple days, my mind was kind of scrambled on where I was, what I had to do, so for this end of day 10, I kind of just got around and got my wits back about me, and also did some metal farming as well, as it was tedious. By day 11, quite a lot of it actually had smelted, so I went around picking it all up, and also putting the new metal in that I had farmed earlier on. I'd run my Elder Moschops up and down back to base, and kind of noticed I would actually have to upgrade it soon, but for now, I'll take my new Featherlight guy for a spin. It was super quick, and obviously it had the ice abilities, so I'd be very excited to use it. I'd craft up some healing stews and get this thing back up to full HP, as I didn't have any potions yet, and then I would get lucky, and it would drop 3 eggs for me, which would be nice for kibble. I can now craft myself some Apex kibble, and we could also craft some elemental kibble and some toxic kibble as well. But I kept it all in my inventory, and then I would craft up some more trank darts, as we had used quite a few in the last couple days, and then I would go around and test out my Featherlight. 2000 damage in one bite isn't too bad. Obviously it's not Elder Moschops level, but it doesn't have the benefit of flying super fast and being able to take me into Ice Cave to farm some crystals and all the nearby drop. Kind of forget though that drops in Primal Fear aren't very good. You're better off just looting dinos. But anyway, I'd farm up all the crystals to get even more rare mushrooms, and I would just pick up anything that was left. Did get some fur boots, which was nice, and then to end off day 11, well, I say end off, just get through the rest of it, I went around and farmed up a bunch of poly. I'd find this fabled mantis that was quite strong, but with the Featherlight I did end up killing it, taking all its poly and all the good loot inside. For the rest of day 11, I kind of just extended out my base even more, as I wanted to flatten out this entire area at some point soon. I probably should be foundation dropping, I can't lie, but I really didn't want to. I mean, it's PvE, I don't really have to worry about anything other than the dinos in this mod, so we built out the entire thing with all the resources I had remaining, and gave myself a bunch more space now. For the rest of day 11, that's basically what I did. But day 12, we had even more to do, so time to move on. Now, my base had been quite ugly for the last couple of days, so I kind of wanted to just give it some more character, I guess, and that was basically adding stone railings. Yeah, being a PvP player, I'm really not good at this building stuff. I never have been, so this isn't my specialty, give me some slack. But I thought adding these railings would give it a bit more character and would also prevent me falling off the ledge. But anyway, day 12 was an important day. I went around and crafted myself up a bunch more Apex kibble, and then I wanted to get myself an Ankylo. So I went up to the deserty cliff nearby, tamed myself on, named it Alvin, and then brought it back to base and leveled it up. I also wanted to craft a bunch of other things in the base, such as my first industrial forge. With all the metal that had been smelting, we could finally craft one. I'd pluck it up in the corner of the top right part of the base, and then I would craft myself a fabricator and move all of the metal into that forge. For the rest of the day, I would basically do like mini things such as farming metal. I crafted myself a chem bench, which was very nice, would make it look pretty, and then I'd get down a generator as well by the end of day 12 to make sure everything would be powered. The chem bench also came in handy, so we could craft cementing paste, bark powder, and gunpowder easy now. Day 13 and 14 were a bit of everything days. For starters, I'd kill a dragon boss, grabbing some element, boss essence, which was really needed to progress in the mod. Didn't have enough yet, but we still had a bunch. This trophy flag, which I posted on my base and made it look a bit nicer, And I also got a bunch of elemental kibble and a bunch of elemental eggs as well. This preserving bin was being really slow, but until I had feathers of everything, we couldn't use the Primal Fear preserving bin, which crafts all the jerky super quick. But anyway, I'll tame myself this apex griffin, cryopod it up as it would be used for kibble, and then I'd get a bit too cocky near these buffoon gigantopithecus things and get absolutely smoked. But when I managed to get my loot back and made it back to base, I'd level up the Apex Griffin and then go and tame myself a higher level Alpha Anki, as the one we had before was kind of bad. Sorry, Alvin. Anyway, once we had this better Anki, I went back into the ice cave and grabbed myself as much crystals as I could and mushrooms to make sure I could craft more narcotics, and then I would use the crystal to craft myself a greenhouse, as without a greenhouse I wouldn't be able to get all of the veg and fruit and stuff that I would need to craft up kibble later on, and then I'd extend out my base a bit more over the water, creating this stone-like bridge that would definitely break later on, but it took me forever to do this, so I'm not going to show you guys the whole thing, as it's quite boring to be honest. It's just pillar and ceiling, pillar, ceiling. Most of day 15 was spent the exact same thing I was doing at the end of day 14, which was just building out this pillar. It was kind of stressful as I'd constantly have to go underwater, managing my oxygen whilst building all of the pillar struts, and then going up above and doing the ceilings. It took ages, also I didn't have exactly much weight, so crafting all these stone structures, carrying it everywhere was getting a bit frustrating. But eventually I did extend it out even more. Now I didn't make the whole way by the end of the day, but we was almost there. I'd go through on the end of day 15 and place a bunch of torches as well, lighting up this new weird bridge I'd made. Day 16 and 17 were the day of the resources. I would start off by grabbing myself every beaver dam nearby for rare mushrooms, flowers and paste, and then I would grab myself a bunch of sap taps as I would need them for kibble and other purposes. I'd go into the trees near the green obelisk, place a bunch down, and then I would grab this red drop and also look at taming the Sterazino. Sadly though, I'd get smoked and I'd end up dying shortly after trying to tame it as I fell off the cliff and there was a primal raptor there, but it didn't matter as I got my body back, went back there and started knocking it out again. I'd have to be careful as there was a bunch of stuff nearby, but with Apex Kibble it was a very quick tame. This toxic raptor was also bullying me, so I just shot it and knocked it out, and by the time that was done I would tame Andy up and then soul trap him to make sure I could use him for kibble later on. When I got back to base though, I was hit by a shock, as an Origin Argentavis had been breaking all of my stuff and nearly killed me, and here is what happens next. When I made it back, a bunch of my structures on the base had been destroyed, including all of my smithies, and I can't even remember the rest of it to be honest. But yeah, my base got dropped, I got clapped by PvE, so I had to craft it all back again up, but that takes us into day 18 anyway. Going into day 18, I was still recouping the losses and replacing all of my base after the Origin RG had smoked it. Only having a couple of hundred weight sucked, as since I had eggs everywhere, I'd have to do these jump trips to pick up the loot and place it in. But anyways, I wasn't going to let it put me behind, so I got back to work quickly. And for starters, I wanted to build myself a greenhouse now up on top of base. That way, I could quickly get crops growing using the greenhouse effect, and I could also keep them fertilized and just put a pipe up the top. So that's exactly what I did. I made it too high, took all the crops that I had down below, and then would make a very ugly pipe up to the top. Yeah, I'm not about practicality at the moment. No, I am about practicality at the moment. I don't care about how it looks. But anyways, once I got the pipe up there and the water flowing, I put fertilizer in all of them and started growing my crops. For the rest of day 18, I planned on using that brand new Therizino I had got to see if I could cheese some higher level tames in the mod. And for starters, I found this level 20 Celestial RG that would be a quick slick, and then I took all of that, its hide and blood and everything, and then I would nearly die and lose everything straight away after. Yeah, that's Primal Fear for you. Anyway, as I wanted to venture up the cliff, I nearly got blown away by spirits, so I tamed this thorny dragon and then would head back to base for the night. It's day 19 and my thorny dragon is tamed, so I could use him for kibble, and I put him in a soul to make sure I wouldn't lose him by just walking back to base, because that happens a lot in this mod. But anyway, I'd hop on my ferry, and then I'd go do a massive wood run, as why not take advantage of this very cool tame and its very good wood farming prowess. And once all the wood farming was done, I'd head back to base and clean out any dinos that were stragglers, especially a bunch of these parrots as I could use with their feathers. And then, once I made it back to base, it was crafting up some kibble, which I accidentally overcrafted, and then I would craft up some apex kibble as well, as that was the most important one I would need at this time. I'd also craft up some feathers to make sure I could craft up some of that good jerky inside the Primal fear bin, and then it was the end of day 19. I ended up making a very big mistake, which you guys are going to hate me for. So you're probably wondering, why am I looking at a Windows 10 ARC screen? Well, I made a mistake. For the next 2 days on day 20 and 21, I accidentally had Windows 10 ARC as I was playing on it earlier open at the same time as having Steam ARC open. And all of my footage was that. You can see it on screen.
Day 22 was the taming of the elemental tier. By that, I mean taming a bunch of parrots, taming a bunch of, well, mainly parrots to be honest with you. Anyway, my day would start off by crafting up some different types of kibble and getting some raw meat jerky cooking. I noticed there was a primal tech trike near the base, so I'd have to be careful. But for now, I headed back over to the desert where I knocked out one mega raptor. We needed a bunch of these guys so I could take their eggs, so anything nearby I would tame. This ice griffin was next on the list, and this fabricator was making stuff so much easy it wasn't even a stress anymore. I'd cryopod it up, then move on to the next one. But basically, day 22 was just a day of like taming kibble tames. I got myself some of those mega raptors, I got myself some more griffins, I was constantly dropping the loot back off a base, and I crafted my first fabled kibble, tamed myself another fire griffin, and then headed back to the desert, where I wanted to tame up my first fabled unicorn grifficorn thingy. Yeah, they're very OP, but I'd end off day 22 dying, and now it was day 23. Day 23 and 24 were kind of tragic. I was off out trying to tame a bunch of things and do the usual, but I kept getting slapped by this demonic hyenodon. I nearly actually lost my fire griffin to it, but for some reason, when I got back, the first one had died and the second one was still alive with the demonic hyenodon nowhere to be seen. Yeah, I was unsure what was going on, but I'd knock out this lightning griffin that was trying to stop me, kill this fabled morellatops nearby, and then I'd make way with my griffin that had barely survived by the skin of its teeth. Day 23 and 24 were kind of setback days, but in the following days, we get a lot done, so it doesn't really matter. You're allowed to have one of these days every now and then. But yeah, I hate dodo withens. Still, their aimbot is absolutely ridiculous. Day 25 was the day of taming. I basically went around non-stop making as much kibble as I possibly could and taming everything. My main goal was to get all my fabled dinos tamed so I could use their eggs for more kibble, but for now it was also taming, we tamed what? We tamed fabled parasithrium, we tamed apex thorny dragons, we tamed flame griffins in the desert, and yeah, we basically just went around taming a bunch of stuff. I also ended up finding this apex fire wyvern, which was a female and I wanted to tame in the wyvern trenches, and then I found another parasithrium in the desert and we tamed that one as well. Now, I had a whole bunch of tames to produce me eggs passively, so I also got myself a little Malin pteranodon for the fun of it towards the end of day 25 using my special kibble. I also find myself a brachiosaurus as well, which we would tame a fabled version, and that would end off day 25. Day 26 would begin with me slaughtering this dragon so I could grab its element, the trophies with it, and some more boss essence, as we would need some to make some boss kibble, I believe it is, later on. After that, I would tame myself another Malin pteranodon, as I thought it would just be an easy tame. Oh, not Malin, fabled, my bad. I would go and tame another pteranodon as well for special kibble, the Malin one this time, sorry I got them mixed up, which was kind of annoying to hit to be honest, but we eventually got it and it fell asleep. After that, it was taming another fabled trike, which was a female, so it could generate some eggs and more kibble, and then I would return back to base crafting up a bunch more kibble. I went out to the sap tree, grabbed my sap, and also killed this forest titan that was nearby. I wasn't too sure if it was going to give me any engrams or not, or any loot, because, you know, it's Primal Fear, but we made quick work of it, got the tech replicator unlocked, and a bunch of other tech things, and also got some pretty nice blueprint and loot as well. Day 26 was a nice day, as it was kind of calm, I didn't exactly die loads, and it was just filled with peaceful taming. I got this other pteranodon down as well, and then to end off day 26, I would look at crafting celestial kibble. All I was missing was omega eggs and primal blood. Day 27 begins with me farming some crystals and also grabbing some rare mushrooms as we needed to make some more potent narcotics. Day 27 and 28 I'll combine as I was doing much of the same thing, but it was basically going around and taming a bunch and farming some boss essence up again, farming feathers, and the most important thing I probably did was got myself a Dodig, as I wanted to extend my base out and also have just a bunch of stone spare for spark powder, so I got myself an alpha Dodig tamed, and that basically led into day 27 ended. Day 28 was a lazy day and I didn't really do much. Day 29 starts off with me taming this fabled Argentavis to use it for kibble. Now, it was a 145 one, but I couldn't really put it to use as I needed the egg production. So, I also tamed this female, well, I think it's female, was it female? No, male castroids as well for some reason. Tamed a bunch of them around, and then soul trapped them all up. And once we had done all of that, it was off to the charcoal trees as I need to farm some. And then I would come across this very interesting looking mantis. Since I had special kibble now, I could tame this guy, and with it having 200k health and over 300k torpor, it would be sure to be a hard thing to tame, but once it was done, I'm sure the stats would outweigh the negatives. So I knocked this bad boy out and then got to taming him. And once I did tame him, I was going to put him to good use. But first, I'd go around and keep taming as much kibble dinos as I possibly could. That's basically half of what you do in Primal Fear. Obviously, the early and mid game's a lot more fun than the late game, but as I'm progressing, all I'm really doing is taming stuff, farming the same narcotics over and over again, and every now and then making some new gear. But anyway, I returned back to base, made all the saddles I had, and now I have my mantis. I wanted to take him for a little spin and farm some charcoal trees. Now, it wasn't super efficient at grabbing charcoal, but his wood farming was off the charts. So, we would put it to good use, and on top of that, it did a lot of damage. Day 30 would begin with me transferring all my eggs to make a bunch more kibble. I did notice that I would need to start farming myself some artifacts, so not far up from my base I went into Dark Cave and I took some awesome teleporters with me. Now, I would have to clear through the whole cave in complete darkness as I forgot a torch, but thank God for my flame griffin. Anyway, whilst I was in there, I'd also grab a bunch of obsidian around as I thought it might be handy later on, and once I'd farmed all the nodes around, I'd finally made my way up to the artifact, where I'd obviously take it, and I would place an awesome teleporter so I can come back. Now, one weird thing about this is if you're on single player and you try and teleport into a spot like this, it just doesn't seem to work for some reason. I'm assuming because that part of the world hasn't loaded in. But anyway, I'd farm this artifact on repeat for a while and just keep dropping them in, as soon as you got a render distance, they respawn back in. But anyway, with artifacts now, I could craft myself some boss kibble, and we could start progressing even more. I'd need to find myself a female boss, but first, I'd find myself another fabled Grifficorn, this time a male of decent level, and I would knock him out quite easily. With all the Grifficorns I had tamed, I finally made my way back to base, and I would start breeding them up and getting my own imprint ones. Once I'd got a decent line going, I would just leave them to breed and would constantly let the babies go into the soul terminal. But for now, we at least had some with imprint, and that was day 30 done.
Aw, little baby. Good stats. I don't know. I think... No, it's bad. Never mind, it's terrible. Oh my god, this is awful. It didn't get the good melee. At least... It got the oxygen.
Anyway, continuing on with day 31, it was obviously looking after my babies, and then imprinting them all to make sure I wouldn't miss out on any. The stat increase didn't really make them any better, but I would farm the artifacts on repeat for a while so I had a bunch more, and I'd craft up some boss kibble. And once I had done that, I would kill a boss again, and then I would travel outwards, where I would find a demonic parasaur and a Carno fighting. Now, the demonic parasaur was killed, giving me a demonic soul and a bunch of loot, but now I noticed the primal Carno was also very low and next to a water.
Oh my god, so much primal blood and primal hide. Nice. Dude, that's huge. Primal flak chest piece as well. I can't believe I just managed to cheese that guy. Bro, what is that? Oh, it's a Trostus. Oh, it's like a custom one. Never mind.
Day 32 was a day that was a bit all over the place, but I ended up getting a lot done. I was very close to my goal of crafting celestial kibble, but I was still missing out on omega eggs, so we couldn't craft any for now. One thing I nearly was crafting was a tech rep. I would throw out my ankylo so I could go farm a bunch of metal beforehand though, and once I did a big metal run and killed this Alpha Indominus Rex and stole its egg, I returned back to base and let it all smelt. I'd place down a bunch of air conditioners to hatch these little guys, and I'd hatch all the other Grifficorns that I've been breeding, and then I got myself a tech rep crafted on day 32. Quite impressive, but since my rates are a bit boosted, it's not that good. Anyway, I got that done, and then I found an origin dino in the redwoods, which I definitely couldn't kill for now, but nearby there was a primal carno that I would kill for its blood, and that would end off day 32. Flying straight into day 33, I find myself over in the desert, waiting to clear up the remnants of this primal thylacoleo. It had killed a demonic dino, and then I killed it after, and then I returned back to base, and I could craft myself some primal narcotics, which would be very good in knocking out any of the higher tier dinos. Now, I still had a good fabby, but I wanted to tame this Omega Reaper, and the fabricated sniper didn't exactly do much, so I returned back to base and crafted myself a primal compound bow that equally didn't do as much. I would grab a bunch of beaver dams around though, and then I would trap this bad boy up so I could knock it out, and it would take all the way into day 34 to tame it. Yeah, I'm not joking, it did that little torpor. Into day 34 though, I was still knocking out this Omega Reaper by the morning. We eventually managed to get it out. I probably should have got a glow pet, but oh well. And it was finally ready to tame up. Once I tamed it, I returned back to base, and I also ended up dropping out that Alpha Indominus egg we got earlier on, so we could hatch it up and let it raise by itself basically. Every time I would though, the soul trap would just pick it back up, which was very annoying. But anyways, I hatched it, its stats were pretty decent, and now we had some pretty decent tame. And after that, I went to Highlands NE, got this dodo wyvern, and then spotted another Omega creature. This time, an Omega wyvern, which was a female. I'd have to tame this bad boy, but not before dying many times to it. I cut out quite a few of the deaths, I can't lie. But now we had another Omega egg production thing, which meant we could start producing more kibble even faster. Day 35, and I finally had my first Omega egg in the Soul Terminal. That means we had now unlocked more Celestial Kibble and Demonic Kibble as well. This is a big opening for us, as we can go get some Celestial Ardies, we can go get some Demonic Thorny Dragons, or literally anything of those tiers. So for now, I would craft myself up a bunch of Celestial Kibble and grab myself a decent RG first. That would be my first stop for the day, and then after that I would go and farm some more bosses for some more element for the rep and everything, and I would tame myself a female Celestial Ferox, which would be very good for late game. But for now though, it took a lot of tranks to tame and quite a bit of my resources, but in the end we got out this very high level one and had something good towards the end of day 35. Day 36 was a bit of a chill day. I just kind of wanted to enjoy the new Celestial Ferox I had and go around and just kill a bunch of stuff and well, basically farm them for blood and everything that they had to offer. So I went back to base, leveled up this bad boy, and then tried to take on this big purple like T-Rex thing. Safe to say, it did not go well, and I believe that's definitely one of the endgame creatures towards day 30, well, towards the end of Primal Fear. But I managed to get my Ferox out of there safely because I put potions on it before, and then I would die again. Yeah, things aren't going too well at the moment, I can't lie. But anyway, after I got my Ferox out of that, we went up towards the like the cave, the bone cave in Viking Bay, and I'd find myself a Primal Allosaur that I'd absolutely smack up and would take me into the end of day 36. It'd give us a bunch of loot, the blood, and the hide as well. Day 37 would begin with me doing a much needed flint and stone run up on the cliff just near the base. And once I did go up there, I ended up finding myself a demonic thorny dragon. So I couldn't pass up on this really OP tame, as I would end up using them for basically most of the playthrough. But for now, I would tame one, and then I had planned to go to the desert, as I just wanted to get a bunch of them now, females and males included. I managed to find a low level female which we tamed, and then I found another high level female which was 140 and had pretty decent stats, so I'd knock that one out with this Fabby, which obviously makes this whole process so much easier, and then I'd end up nearly losing the whole tame to a Microraptor. Yeah, even in Primal Fear, these things are ridiculous. Anyway, the Raptor and the Scorpion, didn't exactly do much. I tamed this bad boy, and now we had another 140. And then, just around the corner, I would find a 145, and it would be the final tame for the day. Once we got all of them, I would go off out for the rest of day 37 and just enjoy. On day 38 and 9, they were just some farming days, which I mostly spent on the back of my demonic thorny dragon. This thing is one of my favourite things in the whole mod, and I generally enjoyed it so much. But I'd go around farming a bunch of primal creatures, and then I would do a metal run just nearby, as I noticed there was an absurd amount of metal in this little ravine. High rich metal as well. If you just look, God damn, help me. Help me. Anyway, I just died. But yeah, we farmed up a bunch of metal, took it back to our industrial forge, and then after that, it was time to extend the base out throughout most of the rest of the 2 days. I wanted to get the bridge done and to start foundationing out the other platform so we could use the other side to just store all my dinos, as I didn't want to keep them all inside soul pods all the time. So yeah, using stone, which probably wasn't the smartest idea, I just built out the whole thing, and that takes us into day 40, where things start picking up fast. Day 40, whoop whoop, 40 days in, and so far, to be honest, we've actually done quite a bit. Killed most of the bosses. We're on Celestial and Demonic Kibble now. We have basically waiting for eggs, and then we're going to do Alpha Boss Kibble, and an Alpha Boss Kibble will give us a Apex Boss. And then, I can't remember how we unlock these, but I'm assuming we have to kill something. I don't exactly know. But we'll get there, I do need to kill some origin tames though, which is going to be a struggle. I'm going to have to try and choose one with my demonic thorny dragon somehow. But yeah, that's the plan. For the rest of day 40 though, I basically just spent it building up my base and continuing what I had left off on the previous day. Most of the stone structures had crafted by then, and I basically foundationed out the entire plateau and put railings all on the side. Now, building on stone still was a bad idea, and I probably should have done metal at this point, as I definitely could have farmed it, but I was just too lazy, and farming with the Ankylo was so convenient. Anyway, for the entire day of 40, I basically did that and a bit of farming and crop stuff, and then it was on to the next day, I guess. Day 41 was going to be a long day, but it was one of the more important days, as it was me checking off Origin Direbear off my to kill list. For starters, I thought I could have like some metal trap and kind of trap the thing in. That didn't work, so I'd have to just use the demonic thorny dragon as always to kill it. But first, I'd need to clean out this primal rock drake that was bullying me and in the way, and then we got to work on killing the Origin Direbear, which died far. God damn! First Origin Dino down, let's go. Did we get any gear? Oh, Origin helmet as well, nice. Origin soul. One piece of Origin blood, damn. Wait, is there more on here?
Nope.
No. Damn. The demonic thorny dragon is just simply a tank when you're in powered up mode, so I continued going around the map, cleaning out as many Origin dinos as I possibly could. That means raptors, wyverns, RGs, direbears, penguins, you name it, I was on the hunt for it. Now, without a transmitter, Origin dinos are hard to find, so I make sure to make the best of them when I see them. I'd also be cleaning out as many primal dino tiers as I possibly could as well, since they dropped a bunch of blood and hide and stuff that I would also need in the meantime. I'd also knock out this dragon, as I could use his eggs for kibble, and then I'd head back to base and, well, just drop this guy off. Once I got back to base, I got back to crafting up some kibbles, starting off with some, I think it's Apex or Alpha Boss kibble, and once we had done that, it was back on the hunt for more dinos, such as Omega dinos for the blood and hide yet again, and also Primal dinos. Once I got back to base though, it was on to summoning these Origin things again, and I need to work my way to doing those. I was missing out on Origin blood and artifacts, but with a few artifacto kills and stuff, we could farm these up for good. Now though, I needed to summon a Spino, as it was one of the few tributes I was missing, and then for the rest of day 41, it would be piecing up this little guy and taking everything from him. Killing the Spino gave me a bunch more tech blueprints yet again, and with that we finish off day 41, probably one of our most efficient days thus far. Day 42 was much of the same. It was farming as many Origin dinos as I possibly could, as I needed them to progress. I needed to kill them to unlock engrams, and I needed to kill them to get their tributes, their souls, and their blood so I could make the super good metal trank arrows as well. I'd farm the artifact a few more times, and then I'd make an origin wyvern summon as well, which would probably be one of the hardest fights I had done yet. I'd make sure to power up my thorny dragon as I entered this, and stay as close to it as I possibly could. As it runs circles around me, if I could just edge closer, I could drop my spikes on top of me and constantly engulf it in the, we'll call it the hell flame for now. So slowly, we put an end to this thing and killed it as well.
Nice. Tech transmitter's finally unlocked, which means I can unlock the SS transmitter. And now I need to craft a bunch of those, because if I can craft those, I can dino scan on the map. I don't have to craft these tributes anymore. I can save myself a lot of resources. So, that's my next plan, I guess.
With the origin wyvern now defeated, I could craft myself up some of these SS tech transmitters and use them for dino scan, which would show me the exact coordinates of anything around the map. Now, I was under the assumption that you had to craft multiple of them to show the higher tier dinos. It didn't seem to be the case for me, but I would just make a bunch more anyway and place them on the map. And then I could be off to scout whatever I wanted. That being origin dinos, celestials, artifactos, anything there, you name it, I could now see where it was. And for starters, it was time to grab myself an origin Argentavis, which was quite close nearby to base.
We have, before we can do either of these, I think I'll probably do celestial indom first. Or actually maybe demonic reaper empress, because I do prefer the reaper. But we just need the Kairuku, I think is how you say it, and the Kano. And lucky for me, on the dino scan, we actually have one of the Kairuku, not Kairuku, Kano.
For the remainder of day 42, I basically went around and just cleared out a bunch of origin dinos in the desert. First being this Kano that took way too long to kill, I cannot lie, and then after the Kano, it was on to looting it and just doing other things around the map, such as crafting a bunch more of those summoners and making some of those OP origin narcotics. Jumping into day 43 though, day 43 started off as an all-out war, as I started spawning in all my origin summoners to farm up more of those tributes so we could progress to the higher tier mod dinos.
Alright, we've completed all origin, and I think on that note we also have all tech unlocked as well. Yeah, basically all of tech is unlocked, as we've done every boss. And, yeah, things are going well, to be honest. We're on day 42. I know my rates are a bit higher than most other 100 days Primal Fear creators, but I wonder how we're standing, because day 42, all origins done, could either be very slow or very fast. But I think we're doing well.
With all the origin dinos complete, I would craft up the Demon Reaper Empress, my first hard boss of this mod pack.
Damn, oh my god. Where's he gone? Still here. I'm gonna have to put some of these in here just in case. As soon as if I haven't killed this by the time my potion runs out, I could probably die here. This does a... Where are you going? Hello? You going towards my base? Brother, come back! Stop! Oh. What is going on? He's bugged out. I generally have no clue. We're just gonna keep killing him. Did he just drop my whole base? Oh my god. Oh my god. He did not... Is my tech rep's gone and everything? Oh... Brother. I really hope... Oh, yeah. Well, it's down. Let's go see the chaos that's... Oh my god, my base, man. Go see the damage that's done. Oh my god. What? I need to move, bro. Or I just need to at least turn this to metal. Or tech, maybe? Maybe tech, because it looks a bit more fancy, but then it's just a lot more farming, bro. That's a yikes. Anki's dead as well. At least I got some demonic gear. A bit better. But damn, bro. That sucks. Rest in peace, Anki. Rest in peace, Andy and Eric. Both of you did me good these years. And my greenhouse too. No. What happened to my base? Oh my god, bro. Why did I build him? Why did I do it close? I'm so dumb, bro. So dumb.
So, with one giant step forward, we end up taking 2 small step backs, as we got the demonic Reaper Empress killed and everything involved with it, such as its soul, and we could now tame one, but our base got dropped, we lost a bunch of dinos in the process, including our farming dinos, and we had a bunch of other things to repair. But no matter, as once we had started just techifying the base now to make it more secure, I went out and started taming this bad boy, as I wanted it for myself now.
155 demonic empress. Nice, nice. Only requires 2 kibble. This thing's massive, Jesus. Let's whack that. Oh. What's eating my thing? You know what? Go on, Reaper, you deal with it. Never mind, I guess you won't. I guess I'll have to deal with it. Alright, I've saved all my potions for these sorts of things, so just use a bunch of my medium ones. And yeah, how much HP do these things? So starting off with 2k, my Blizzard actually might end up being better than this. I don't know how this thing works, to be honest with you. It's not really a tame I've become accustomed to, but I think probably mostly health. Okay, definitely better than my Lizard. It's already at 100 million, is that? No, it's 10 million. It's not even 100. Damn, it's not even iffy. Well, I guess I'll just put a bunch of points into melee. We'll see how this thing goes, but probably should have got the Celestial Indom, to be honest with you.
I'd continue off most of day 43 though, just farming up a bunch of tech structures, waiting for them to craft, and then just placing them down on my base as soon as they were done.
Oh my god, I finally found an artifacto. I have to kill this. Literally, I have to kill this guy. I've been searching for one of these for so long. Having to do the engram things is awful. And constantly run the boss. Oh no, that demonic wyvern's not looking too hot though. 3 artifacts, you know what, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Day 44 was a short day, but I'll keep it short anyway, as I don't want to just, make you guys bored. We spent most of the day clearing out 2 of these origin raptors I'd found over by the massive ravine, and then, once I cleared both of them out, I went into the ice cave and started farming out some more origin bears, primal bears, farming polymer, and just grabbing anything I could nearby. I'd also try and kill this origin rex, which would end up killing me, killing a few of my grifficorns as well, but eventually I managed to get back there and get my stuff. But it didn't go without saying, I lost quite a bit this day, so it was sad. Day 45, and I could make a bunch more of these tributes. One lack of blood I had was the Omega blood, so in the coming days I would farm a bunch up, but for now, we'd craft up all the origin tributes I would need to craft up some more of the Celestial Indom and Demonic Repress, and then we would just constantly farm them on loot. Most of the time, it was doing the bigger, harder ones, such as the Wyverns, the Rexes, and the Carnos, the ones that I just couldn't seem to find, even having the transmitters on. But anyways, yeah, I kept cleaning these guys out, farming them for loot, and then whenever I wasn't doing that, I was upgrading the base in the meantime. Tech structures take quite a while to craft, so I had to wait out in between them. Sure, I probably could have made myself another tech rep, but I didn't really want to, I was being lazy. But anyway, after farming enough, we finally could craft the Celestial Indominus Emperor, which took a while, but we had it done. And now, it was all-out war against this guy, so let's go into it. Yeah, one thing I forgot about the Celestial Emperor is the fact that it powers you down. So, I would take the entire boss fight from inside the cave and just kill it that way. You guys are going to see me cheese a few bosses using this, but it is one of the best methods I learned from Granty's video, as, well, they just completely and utterly destroy you. But anyway, we got this boss down and done, tame the celestial Indominus Emperor, and then we would put the saddle on it, and yeah, it was back to work for me. Now we had one of the higher tier tames of the mod. I think this is tier 3, and now we could just, I don't really know, to be honest. I kind of just wanted to take it for a spin. It wasn't exactly my favorite dino, but I was happy to have it, and I'm sure in the final coming fights against Picon and the other bosses, we would use this thing. Anyways, yeah, it was nice to have it. It was certainly a bit better than the Reaper Empress, but with day 45 ending, this was a good one. Day 46 would see me returning back on my demonic thorny dragon and starting to clear out the ice for any of the origin penguins I could see. As long as I could find some tributes around and not have to farm up every single one of them at this stage, it would be so handy, as I hadn't obviously reached the top tier stuff yet, such as fighting Pon the Creator and other things. Farming this lower tier stuff would save me time. So we did that, killed as many of them as I could, and then once we did that, into 47, it was building more of my tech base around as the resources had farmed. But first, I'd need to grab myself some crystal, which is in the ice cave, which led to me cleaning out a bunch of dire bears and primal stuff. You guys know the drill by now, but I'm going to skip over all of this because day 47 and 48 were basically most of that. But eventually, I could craft myself the Spirit Guardian, which would lead into day 49 and would end up being a big fight. Now, I thought having my Celestial Indominus Reaper thing out with me and all these troops would help, but they didn't. And I ended up just going back inside the cave and cheesing it that way and cleaning it out for good. And with that dead now, we had unlocked the Spirit Orb, and it was day 50. So we were halfway through the challenge with one of the spirit gods down, and now we just had one more, and then we could progress even higher. But first, it was just getting accustomed, because I can't lie, after this point, I took a few days off as I'd been playing the game non-stop. Once I finally came back to my senses though, and the primal fear addiction wouldn't kick, I got back to doing the usual, which was returning back to my spiky friend and just going around the entire Ragnarok map cleaning out demonics, celestials, primals, origins, you name it, I was killing it, as I needed their blood and hide for goods, and to craft up any of the tributes furthermore. But in the Woodland Trench, it seemed to be where I found the most origin dinos, and the desert on day 51 and 52 seemed to be where I found more of the celestial and stuff like that, and primal dinos. Anyway, as we approached the end of day 52, I'd craft myself up another one of these orb bosses, and it was time to do it. The same way as we did the one before, I would lead it into like this cave area by trapping it, and then I would bully the guy just from sitting inside. But first, I wanted to see if I could fight it on equal footing. So I stayed outside the cave and I just kept throwing my spikes in it. But once it summoned all of these mini wyverns and void wyvern things and I knew I was gone for, I decided it was time to run. But I'd have to get aggro of it first, as this thing was just being buggy and I don't know why. But eventually it came down, started trying to spank me, so I popped a potion and yeah, I ran for my life. Once I'd stopped being a chicken and I'd got my angle all set up, I'd stay in powered up mode and I'd constantly fight this thing down through the HP. Now, I'm not going to bother showing the whole fight, as you can tell by the health bar, this thing took forever to kill. I mean, you guys should probably do this legit way and farm up a bunch of like primal gigas and stuff like that, as if you sit back here with the demonic thorny dragon, you're looking at spending a whole one of your arc days doing it. But eventually we had killed it, and now we had unlocked both the spirit orbs. But it wouldn't be a blur video without me dying to a stupid thing. And then yeah, I lost my demonic thorny dragon. Day 54 comes around though, and now we can start crafting up spirit orbs and chaos orbs, which was huge. So now we could tame spirit bees, chaos stylers, you name it, any of those high tier dinos we could now get. But on my list first was definitely trying to get a chaos bee or a spirit bee, as those guys have some of the highest pure DPS in the game, which actually beats out the demonic thorny dragon, which is crazy, and they can slaughter any bosses such as Picon, which would be coming up in the next couple days as we were nearly there. But in terms of dinos, I would check my transmitter scan and could see that there was some chaos bees around the map and some spirit bees. So that would be my objective for day 54. I would look at the chaos bees, which was the highest levels and the ones closest to me, and then I would head out a base and go look for them. Just a bit away from Green Obelisk, in the swamps down by the water, I would find myself a 150 male giant chaos bee, and now would begin me missing a bunch of my origin tranks to knock this guy out. For
some reason, the blindness was absolutely awful, but lucky I did a few practice shots with a normal metal arrow beforehand, and we managed to waste only 2 or 3 I think I ended up missing. But yeah, we eventually hit one, and if you didn't know, Origin Tranks 100% knock out any tame in the game. It just takes a little while, but yeah, I'd starve the guy with some food using the potions, whack the Chaos Orb in, and yeah, we finally have one of the most OP tames in Primal Fear. Now, is it the best? Definitely not. But in terms of pure DPS, this guy can melt Origin dinos and Primal dinos at the same time with its eyes closed whilst also drowning. These guys are absolutely ridiculous, so most of my points would be making it tankier and then maxing out its melee. I mean, if you actually hit them and get the lava effect, they absolutely shred, as you just saw there, 10 million damage in one burst. But for the rest of day 54, I was basically doing this, just running around on my Chaos Bee, trying to tame some more, which I did, as I found another 145, and also leveling up the ones I had, and just getting used to it, as the aiming system on them is quite weird. They are pretty funny though when you tame them, as they literally try and spray their own goo on you whilst you're on one yourself. It's quite a bit of a crossover, but anyway, we had tamed 2 Chaos Bees today and 1 Spirit Bee, and now we was done for the evening and on to day 55. Day 55 saw me farming a bunch of Omega dinos so I could have their blood to make more kibbo, and I was farming Origin dinos as well. When I hit these sprays, the Origin dinos could really basically die in one burst. But as I said before, think of it like one of those crane arm things where you've got to drop it to pick up the teddy bear. If your bee isn't pointing downwards, it's not going to spray the goo on them and you're going to miss. Anyway, I killed a bunch of Origin dinos, Omega dinos, and then I'd get into a battle with this Chaos Wyvern, which I was debating taming, to be honest, but with how fast it was, I didn't really want to take my chances missing one of only 2 of my arrows left, as I'd been saving them for grabbing some Spirit Bees. But these guys were also near the Spirit Bee which I wanted to tame, so I had a few issues. I'd nearly kill myself though by accidentally dropping off it, but eventually I flew in and missed one of my arrows. Yeah, not very good. I had 1 arrow left and I could not miss it, so I wanted to make sure I hit it on land away from the Chaos Wyvern. Otherwise I'd have to make deal with that. But we did end up hitting it, and now we had a 145 Spirit Bee on them end to be tamed. Spirit Bees actually have some of the highest DPSs as well. I think they do more than the Chaos Bees, but the thing with the Spirit Bees is their damage lasts for longer and it's a bigger AoE, I believe. So yeah, we had this guy knocked out, we had everything ready to tame it. All I would have to do now is protect it and then we could have it. Which I did. I fed it some of those quick food disappear-o magic potion-o thingies, and then the guy was done and day 55 was going. With a Spirit Bee and a Chaos Bee now tamed though, I would feel a lot safer when it came to farming Origin dinos, Primal dinos, and even the Demonic Reaper Empress. Because that thing you can absolutely shred with these guys. The Celestial Indom's a bit different, but as long as we had the Chaos Bee, we could basically kill anything. And for a lot of day 55, I spent it basically just upgrading my base and building anything out, as the base had been ugly for quite a while. But I did realise in killing both of the Chaos and Spirit Guardian, I had now unlocked the Artifacto Summoner, which could end up dropping me between 18 and 24 artifacts on a kill. Now, the issue is with this guy, is it is so expensive to make one of these. But I kind of wanted to do it, as constantly farming the drops on cooldown was a bit annoying, to be honest with you, having to teleport around. So I took myself to charcoal trees, died a few times to dodo wyverns yet again, as they have like aimbot 2000 and snipe you, and I was also farming polymer in the meantime as well for tech structures. I'd go around and basically killing out everything, getting revenge on this dodo wyvern that killed me before, and then I'd get my Spirit Bee back and just go around wiping out as much as possible. I also think I farmed a bunch of flint in this meantime, stone and metal as well, also grabbing some obsidian and crystal, but my main focus was obviously farming chitin for haste and polymer as well. And with that, day 55 was basically just a farming day, so I won't really show much too more of it. But I will show this, as obviously now you guys know I've farmed it all and done it all, blah blah blah. We'd end off the day though with another metal run yet again, to make sure our pockets wouldn't exactly be empty. And once I made it back to base, it was making a bunch of paste and then techifying the base yet again. Day 56 was another one of those days that saw a lot of progress, but not exactly enjoyable progress. It was basically sitting around for the whole day whilst my tech structures were crafting and just making the base better, starting off with small improvements such as finally crafting myself a tech generator so I could cover the whole base with my tech gen range and not have to worry about doing wirings everywhere. I'd also be placing more and more tech foundations out to extend the base out this time, as I would need it bigger and more space for breeding and farming purposes. And once I'd done all of that, it was basically just raising foundations, placing them about, and then just doing the railing method and just building railings around everywhere. Yeah, I don't really have much to say on this day apart from I was basically just being Bob the Builder, but I did make this cool little gateway and it was symmetrical and it kind of tickled my brain a little bit. I would move around some of the structures in the base, and then I would end off my day by going out and taming myself a fabled Anki, as it would be better for metal farming and I would feel a lot safer walking around on something that had 5k melee and 300k health than something that had 50. Day 57 saw me doing everyone's least favourite job, farming metal, as it's something you always need. I'll do some big runs over and over again to I wouldn't exactly cap the forge, but just make sure I had enough to last me for the next couple days or so. And then I would techify the rest of my base, making this cool little gate. Then I would make my new breeding area in the corner by the entrance. I'd also start reorganizing the base, shuffling things around, and I'd take a break for a little bit. Once I was back though, farming rare mushrooms, farming crystals, and then day 57 would come to an end with me just farming gunpowder, spark powder, and sea paste for the rest of it. Returning back from my break though, on day 58, I spotted one of my least favourite dinos nearby my base. So I'd have to be careful, but I would go make some quick work of him with the chaos and spirit bees and just absolutely annihilate him, as I didn't want a repeat of the Reaper Empress destroying everything. And then I noticed there was a bunch more dinos around, such as spirit griffins, so I'd take my bee and just practice aiming on them all, cleaning them all out to make sure there couldn't be any hassle later on. And then it was rebuilding out this bridge, which I kind of just gave up on, I can't lie. Now you're probably asking for a reason like why, your base looks ugly, like half stone, half tech, it can be demolished. But we're at this point of the game now where I basically fly anywhere, so it doesn't matter. And two, it's a whole different level. I couldn't seem to get the tech ceilings to snap to the stone ones and replace them, so I literally just gave up on it and went back to farming my artifacts out of the cave and doing more metal runs as well, as that was basically what I needed. I'd farmed metal for quite a while, but there was a bunch of chaos stylers and stuff around me, so I would have to kind of give up mid-run and take a dip, otherwise I would have ended up losing my fabled Anki. The rest of day 58 was spent upgrading the base, and one of the best investments I ever made on Primal Fear was the industrial grinder, as any dino loot or drops that came out of killing fabled stuff or the higher tier bosses, I could just grind up and, I kid you not, make so many resources that all of these metal farming things would have been pointless. This was only a fraction of the loot I had basically farmed up in the last couple days, but once I had grinded up everything I want to and become very resource rich, it was back to farming origin dinos, and that's how I spent the rest of day 58. Day 59 saw me using the Spirit Bee and cleaning out a bunch of the origin dinos and stuff that would spawn just up from my base. And after that, my next goal for the day was to kill Artifacto, as I could really use with those 18 to 24 artifacts in crafting more origin tributes to progress even further on. Late game Primal Fear is probably this mod's biggest weak point, as it's basically refarming the same dinos over and over and over again, and also taming the dinos that you already have in order to fight those bosses. It's pretty repetitive. The early side of Primal Fear is by far the best part, early to mid, but as you get to the late game, it's quite repetitive. So if you guys see me like redo the same boss fight over and over again over the next like 30 to 40 days, I do apologize, but there's not much I can do about it. After we'd cleaned that out though, with my demonic thorny dragon, I returned back to base and I'd transfer them all into the primal smithy, which didn't work for some reason, so I'd have to transfer them all manually. These are all of the origin tributes I made out of all the artifacts I'd farmed up, and for the rest of day 59, it was basically just using the Spirit Bee and cleaning these guys out. When I said this guy is so much better than the Thorny Dragon, I was not lying. I cleared these all out very quickly. I also did them in batches, so I did all the land dinos first, and then I did the tanky ones such as Rex and Spinos, and then I would do the flyers such as Argies and Wyverns.
For the rest of day 59 though, it was about upgrading my base, as I had no reliable way to make crops at the moment, which meant no way to grab kibble, and since that day when my whole base got destroyed, I hadn't had a new greenhouse since, as I'd been running off all of the old crops I had grown. I'd built this thing out in a very Bobby manner, just a simple one with two walls high, ceilings, no special roof or anything, but this time around I would actually end up stacking the crop plots. I don't know why I'm building it one high here. I changed it here. I thought so. But yeah, I'd end up stacking the crop plots and using the soul terminal to constantly grab myself some fertilizer. I would do a bunch of, I think it was 4 stacks and then 1 row, 4 stacks, 1 row, 4 stacks. But anyway, I didn't exactly need too many of them as I had the crop growth rate so high on this to save myself from waiting. Anyway, day 59 was complete and another successful one at that, with lots of stuff done and moving on to the next. Day 60 was continuing off on the trend on building up my base, and next up on the line was obviously giving my crops all of the water they would need. I'd make sure to build the S+ pipes this time around so I could hide them all, but once I'd also crafted them all, I also crafted myself up 2 of the old bosses yet again. Indom and Reaper. Yeah, there was a lot of doing this and farming them. I actually think at the point of like day 80, which is obviously a while away, I had like 6 of each sitting inside the smithy just waiting to be tamed, because I really couldn't be arsed. But the Spirit Bee made quick work of the Reaper Empress and the other ones as well. One thing I will say though is be careful of the indom. That guy can power you down, drop you to the floor and absolutely smack you a new one. So I'd recommend cheesing him at most points if you can. And also on top of that, you have all the flyers to worry about as well. As yeah, just don't mess with the indom Reaper. Take this guy serious. I got smoked on numerous occasions, but every time I would get smoked, it would be flying back into the cave and hiding that way. But as soon as he hits you once, you're cocooned, and you could get stuck like this. This was one of the most annoying parts of it, as I thought I was going to lose my best Chaos Bee, but with some potions and some quick thinking, I did manage to get out and get myself in the cave. It was very close though. I don't know why it took me so long to react to the potions, but let me just play this out. But yeah, I made it into the cave eventually. I would power myself up and just get back to the usual of cheesing these bosses in a very, very funny way. I wondered at this point if I could cheese the final boss, Pon the Creator, Picon's Revenge I think it's called. Yeah, I wondered if I could cheese this boss at that point. I wasn't too sure, but anyway, once I'd killed him, I got back to base and I could craft myself some more Chaos Orbs and Spirit Orbs, and we were into day 61 at this point, which began with me taking on some more Primal dinos and getting used to how bad I was at aiming the bee. Always look down if they're below you. It's just the best tip I can give you. But look at that, the HP is being shredded and we've done a bunch of farming. I took a little break on day 61 for a few bit of the hours on it. But then, after I did that, it was time to tame another one of the demonic empress things just to get it out of the way, and I didn't really want to go on more origin farming for the day. With an origin arrow, shoot it once, it starves itself, and you're good to go. I whacked 2 kibble inside this guy, and yeah, another female demonic empress tamed, and we're making so much progress at this point. I don't know how good we are in terms of other Primal Fear like creators at this point, but for day 61 and someone who's only played it on 1000x PvP servers, I think I'm doing pretty good, to be honest with you. I made sure to stay as far away from the celestial indom as possible, but once the origin trank had done its work, I tamed this guy, cryopodded it back up, and day 61 was already beginning to be a good one. Next up on my list though was Pon the Creator, Nova's Revenge, Nova's Destroyer, and Skynet, which would be the next bosses I would want to take on over the next 10 to 20-ish days. But there would be a lot of farming leading up to these guys, which I'd have to do for each individual one. Yes, I'd have to re-farm the same boss over and over again, which was just, it was awful. But I did end up finding this 140 demonic thorny dragon, which had pretty okay melee stats. I could have ended up taming it, but it was stuck in the wall and I couldn't kill it, and then randomly it just like, I don't know, it died. I guess it just died, so yeah, that happened. It also nearly killed me, which was quite funny. But anyway, demonic souls, primal souls, every soul you can name, I was farming. And it's basically all I did for day 61 was spent it around in the desert. Yeah, at this point, all I know is demonic dinos and spirit dinos. I don't even know my family's names anymore.
We did end up killing an alpha manticore though, which was a change. Such an early game dino at this point is literally a flick and the speed kills it. Day 62 was the day I would take on my very first tier 5 boss, Nova the Destroyer, which I'd been farming up for every day prior to that. I would still have Pon the Creator to kill and Skynet, but for now, I felt as though Nova the Destroyer would be the easiest one, as I could just hide up in the sky with my Chaos Bee and absolutely melt the HP of this guy. Now, I only had 172 million, which actually is one of the lowest out of the other 3 bosses, so it was actually quite easy for me to kill, I can't lie. Obviously, if you was to take this on by foot, it'd probably be a different story. But Primal Fear is not only a mod about grinding and trying to find the best, it's also about using your wits and being smart. As some of these dinos simply do way too much damage to kill. But yeah, for most of day 62, it was spent killing this guy, which didn't take too long to be honest with you. And once it was done, it dropped an egg, gave me Primal Tectar and Primal Force Field Engrams, which I wouldn't end up using as I wasn't on a PvP server, and now I could have my own little baby. This dino is actually quite good. In terms of DPS, it's definitely up there, but compared to my bee and my demonic thorny dragon, which I just couldn't really get past, it was now like, yeah, we now had something other to use to be honest, but I just simply can't get out of it. We also got the demonic Ascension item, which if he doesn't know which it does, what is my English today? And my grammar is absolutely awful. Yeah, you can use it to basically evolve your demonic thorny dragon to something even more powerful, which if you know me by now, I was 100% gonna do. You can use it in other things such as upgrading the big purple Tyrannosaurus thing that's like very late game, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted my demonic thorny dragon to be as strong as possible, and I nearly ended up wasting it as I nearly consumed it. But anyway, I descended this dino and he went up in flames with a gold bright light, and this guy was now my new favorite tame in this mod. The descended demonic thorny dragon of gold. We're just gonna call him Midas for purposes. If you guys know about that king, it was pretty cool. But yeah, demonic thorny dragon fallen, complete, and day 62 was shaping up to be one of my favorite days yet. When you do descend the dinos though, they lose all of their stats, so I would have to re-level it. I was hatching my Nova the Destroyer, with it briefly being chucked back into the Soul Terminal. This time, I wanted to try and make sure I wouldn't miss the imprint, which, spoilers, I actually did. Since I had the raising rate so high, I ended up missing it, and it would end up kind of being a throwaway tame. But we now had an Nova the Destroyer, which was kind of cool. I'd go around for the rest of day 62, just doing what I had done on the previous days, such as farming Chaos, Primal, Spirits, you name it, I was farming it, and that is basically all I could do. Yeah, I don't really know what to do. I want this video to be as long as enjoyable for you guys, but there's only so much I can do on late game Primal Fear. I could go into the water though and start taming stuff, but for now, on day 63, I was back to farming some Omega Dinos, as that was the blood I was running low on. And when I finally made it back to base, I ended up missing out on my my Nova's imprint, as I said to you guys before, which I literally missed by the skin of my teeth. It was like a minute away and I would have got it. Anyway, stats and imprint buff aside, we leveled this bad boy up into health and melee damage, and then I was back to farming up some more tributes and just killing origin dinos yet again. I would take the Nova for a bit of a spin and clean out a bunch of dinos, but it just didn't tickle my fancy like my new bright glowing demonic thorny dragon. It was a lot safer though, as it can't be knocked off by certain creatures and buffs. You are a lot safer on Nova. But I did try and grind up all of this origin gear thinking I could be smart, but I forgot it had the logo in the top to stop it from being grinded, so it was kind of wasted. Anyway, it was back to farming celestial dinos, demonic dinos, and farming up origin tributes for the next boss, which would be Pon later on. But for now, it was a Gold Guy time. That's yeah, new nickname, Gold Guy time. And with Gold Guy, we would be farming up a bunch more origin dinos, and that's basically all I did for day 63. Yeah, I told you, when I said this mod is repetitive, it is quite repetitive as you get into late game. And that's where PvP shines, because you can go and steal people's stuff. In single player, you kind of stuck to it. We did end up getting a bunch of demonic gear now, which was very nice, as celestial and demonic gears give different buffs, but it wouldn't stop me anyway. And on day 63, I continued to clean out all of the origin tames, and into day 64, we would continue doing the same. I'm going to make this day a lot shorter, but we basically cleaned out all the higher tier demonic dinos and like origin dinos such as the Spinos, Wyverns, and Rexes, and towards the end of day 64, we came close to crafting Pon.
Day 65 was a short one. Well, I say short, it wasn't for me. For you guys, it was. More origin farming. But day 66 was probably one of the most important days yet, as I would clear out all the remaining origin tributes I needed to do, which was like wyverns and all the big tame ones. I also did a bunch of artifact farming, killed a few artifactos, and then we was nearing killing Picon. First, I'd just have to kill the Celestial Emperor and the Reaper Empress yet again to grab their souls, and then we were at that stage finally. I would have to start using health potions though, as the dinos were starting to kill me, but to be honest, Nova was pretty good. I ended up dying somehow to Celestial Seeker minions. I have no clue how this happened because it's not happened before. It literally has only happened once in the entire playthrough, but eventually we cleaned them out and it was time to fight Picon. Pon the Creator was absolutely destroying me. And on top of that, his turret minions as well was making my life hell. Every few seconds I would be stunned, flown around the map, and absolutely bullied. I wasn't going to last very long on this B, especially with Picon absolutely standing inside me and eating me. Doing 1.6 million damage a bite, I wasn't going to last long. So, I had two choices. Actually, no, I had one choice, and that was die. Yeah. Rest in peace that Chaos Bee, he was with us since the beginning. But for now, I'm heading into day 67 where the big battle of Picon would continue. I would take my Fido, my spiky, thorny dragon friend, and we would have an epic battle of the ages. No, I'm joking. It wasn't epic at all. It was basically me sitting below the cliff whilst I was out of his range and just throwing my golden spikes at him until he lost enough HP. I don't know why this worked, but it did.
Oh my god, we've finally done it. This boss took so long. I've never had a boss take this long. I'm not even all done. Brother. Please just all die. Jesus, I want to go get my egg, bro. Stop! Stop! Yeah, blur. If you think that was long, wait until you fight Skynet in the next couple days. You'll hate yourself even more. But after that, I ended up unlocking the Creator armor, and we had a little baby Picon for ourselves to hatch, which was very nice. The thing got thrown straight back into the soul trap, and I would yoink him out. The thing I was most happy about though was the Creator armor, as it's just so convenient. Picon is a good tame, don't get me wrong, and he has a lot of health, but he's just simply way too slow for me. This time around though, I wouldn't actually miss his imprint, and then the next day 68 and into day 70, it was just a bunch of farming yet again. But Picon was looking nice and all good together. I'd also have another one of these Ascension items which I would save, and Picon had now been saddled up and was as tanky as ever. I would take this big fish around and just go explore the map and test out his damage ranks, which, to be honest, wasn't actually ridiculous. I'm not sure if I'm missing something here on Picon, but with a big like XP buff, damage buff, every sort of buff, I thought this guy would be absolutely tanking and destroying everything. But he was a bit underwhelming. My favourite thing about Picon though was that I could just park him next to my base and he'd sit there floating. It's basically a big blockade for anything that would want to come near my base. But between day 68 and 70, I did a lot of like mini TLC things such around the base, such as making a bunch more chem benches so I could efficiently farm more spark powder cementing paste, and then I'd give Picon a little test and try and just kill a bunch of origin dinos. He was good at AoE damage, don't get me wrong. He could clean out dinos around the map like it was nothing, but when it came to the tanky dinos and focusing damage on one area, I just couldn't get a grip on it. I did find this one attack that did do like 69 damage a tick, which was pretty good, but if you compare it to the Chaos Bee or the Spirit Bee, to be honest with you, it's literally nothing, and you could tell. Let me know down below if I'm missing something. I would get out Terra Nova though, as that was a bit faster and I didn't have my, well, my bee was dead at that point. But I needed to go get some more stuff. Anyway, throughout day 68 and 70, yet again, I found myself another artifacto, which was good, which gave me another, what was it, 4 artifacts, as it was the terrible one. And then, throughout the rest of the day, it was basically just flying around, farming, taming, origin dino, demonic dino, you know the drill. I was, yeah, just rinse and repeat, guys, rinse and repeat. One area on the map I had really neglected though was the redwoods over by Red Obelisk, simply because I didn't really see any value of going over there. There was nothing I really wanted to tame, but when I did go over there, there was a bunch of Primal Carnos, Dire Bears, Origin Dino Bears, and just so much stuff I could kill. And then for the rest of day 70, I was just basically doing farming. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys. I want this video to reach 2 hours long, but I'm only killing Origin Dinos, bro. I only see yellow and black at the moment. It's quite crazy. I don't know what to say. But yeah, we cleaned out all these guys using my favorite tame yet again. And then I would go to the artifact cave and grab a bunch of those and just farm it on repeat. Day 70 and, well, day 68 to 70 were very efficient days for myself. But in terms of video content, nothing happened. So, yeah. Day 71, I was basically farming the Celestial Indom and Reapers again, as next on my boss to kill list was Skynet, one of the highest HP bosses in this mod, and it has loads of boss damage resistance as well. But we killed 2 birds with 1 stone in this way, and with all the origin farming I did, I could kill the Reaper Empress and the Celestial Indom at the same time. And on day 71, that's basically what I did. I had 1 bee left, and it basically slaughtered everything. I also witnessed this Reaper Empress fly halfway across the map for no reason at all, but that's just Ark's AI for you. And with day 71 ending, that's basically all I did. Day 72 to 76 was a very interesting day. For starters, I spawned in a Celestial Indom, a couple of them, to kill them and obviously farm up their souls, but they randomly just despawned and I got none of the loot from it. So, for the first time in this whole video, I'm gonna cheat. You guys can hate me for it, but to be honest with you, when you've been farming so much, you really don't want to do any more than you have to, especially when you've already done it and Ark's AI is just destroying you. Anyway, we killed the Celestial Indom Reaper Emperor, got that done, and then got back to farming a bunch of the Origin Dinos with my bee yet again. This guy made everything so much easier to do throughout these next 4 days, so if I can recommend one dino, get the Celestial, not Celestial, get the Chaos Bee, bro. Chaos Bee or Spirit Bee, and your Primal Fear experience goes up through the roof, especially with all the farming. Anyway, I sat there killing all these guys, and I'm just going to play a bit of music because my throat's coming sore now. Yeah. Also, throughout the next 4 days, I would like grind up a bunch of the spare Celestial gear and demonic gear I had and make some of these broken creator pieces. Now, for some reason, I didn't have any of the engrams unlocked to use these, and I wasn't too sure why. Maybe there was some boss or something I needed to kill, but these are like end game of end game resources, and you're not really meant to have them at this stage, so grinding them up was kind of funny. But anyway, throughout the rest of like day 74, 75, and 76, I was cleaning out Origin Dinos upon Origin Dinos. I mean farming them non-stop every day on repeat. I'd farm Artifactos, I would farm the caves, I would farm Demonic Dinos, Celestial Dinos, and Primal Dinos as well. There wasn't a single thing I wasn't farming throughout these days, and obviously I'll show you some of the footage of it, but to be honest with you, it'll get pretty boring if it's all I show, so we're going to kind of rush over this and get to Skynet as quickly as possible. But I did take some like leisurely trips around the map to see if I could find myself any bees at like locations on the transmitter or anything, but there really wasn't too much active stuff. I did nearly die quite a few times though, getting cheesed by Celestial Dinos, which was quite ridiculous considering the stage of the game I was at. But with that out the way, we can head into day 77. With only 23 days remaining, we had finally reached Skynet, which was the next big boss on the list. With its staggering over 1 billion health and damage resistance, it was crazy. I did have a choice though. I could have done one of the Colossus bosses and got those out of the way, but for now, I wanted to go order by order and finish off tier 5, and that would be killing Skynet, which would take up most of day 77 and 78. So let's get into this ridiculous battle, and yeah, you guys are never going to guess how I killed him. For starters, I would spawn Skynet in and want to get a gist of how much damage he did. This was the very first time I've ever fought him in Primal Fear, PvP or PvE, and I died even before I could get into my cave.
So I made a quick run back there with my B, jumped inside, grabbed my loot pack with a teleporter, and sat there for, I kid you not, 2 whole days. It was 2 whole straight days of me just throwing my spikes and doing damage. If you can see in the background, I was literally doing tick by tick barely anything, and to top it off, he would send like a couple million HP Primal dinos in every single time as well. So I'd not only have to defend against those, but I'd have to try and damage him at the same time. My solution to this, well, was kind of using the cave to my advantage. In an even more cheesy manner, the Skynet boss would stick its head through the wall, so I could get direct hits onto it doing 100k damage a time, and then letting it burn for 14k damage a tick, whilst all I'd have to defend against was the Quetzals that would come flying in at like 2000 speed. But eventually, over the course of the 2 days, I would tick and tick and tick away at his HP 100 million at a time. Yeah, this boss was by far the most grinding I've done thus far, and I'm talking like this boss took longer than every metal run I've done so far in this video. But yeah, eventually we damaged him, and Skynet was finally dead, and we had got everything from him, such as a new upgrade I would be able to use when I finally reached like that tier of crafting like the Primal Gigas and Rexes and stuff. But for now, the guy was dead, Skynet was complete, and we was on day 77, about to approach day 79. With that out the way, tier 5 bosses had been wiped off the map, and we had 20 days left realistically to get all the Colossuses killed and take on Picon as well. On day 79, I wanted to start looking into crafting myself some of the tech dinos in this mod. As if you guys didn't know, you can get ridiculous HP modifications on these things and just have them soak any damage the boss sends at them, because I think they have damage resistance as well. So I got down all 3 benches, such as the extinction one, the actual one to craft stuff, and the one where you craft all the parts for them, and that would be my goal going into day 80 to 85 most likely. But for now, I would need a bunch of crystals, as it was one of the core resources for that part of the mod and crafting up any of the primal dinos. Sucks that I couldn't find any good spawns close to me. I know there are some, but I'd farmed them previously and none of them had respawned. And next up was getting silica pearls, which was a bit of a chore. A bunch of alpha mosasaurs and underwater dinos were absolutely slapping me whilst I was trying to get some anglerfish. But towards the end of day 79, I managed to get the anglerfish tamed, and I did myself a little mini silica pearl run so I could make any primal stuff, I guess. And with that out of the way, we're finally into day 80. Day 80 to 81 and 82 were quite progressive days, and they saw me get quite a lot done. So for starters, as usual, I'd have to do the farming of primal souls, killing all the origin dinos, making myself some like celestial kibble, chaos dino, you know the drill. I was doing all the usual, and then I'd look into creating my own like tech giga thing. And since I'd killed Skynet, I'd got one of those upgrade modules, and I felt like it would be stupid to pass up on it for now. So I'd craft my one up as good as I could, check the map to see if there was any gigas around, and there was one just near base which most likely spawned from Skynet. I killed it, got its blueprint, and then returned back to base, crafting everything needed for this guy, and then we would open up his inventory, whack in all the upgrade modules, and supercharge him. I wasn't too sure how much damage this thing would get, but I did try to clone him, and you can't do it, so that sucks. But once all of that was done, it was on to crafting and fighting my very first Colossus, which was the caustic one. I felt as though this one would be the easiest, as the other ones didn't seem too friendly. So yeah, we got our Chaos B together and started pummeling this guy from the sky. He couldn't knock me out, he couldn't do any weird stun effects, and we just kept fighting him and fighting him and fighting him until he was finally done in, and we had killed our first of the Titans. As you may know though, I'm going to start speeding up these last couple of days as it's going to be quite repetitive, but I'll make sure to show all of the important stuff.
And the caustic Colossus has now been defeated. God damn, we got everything off him. That was a quite easy boss fight, to be honest. My chaos... Oh. Gave us a little thingy for it. Yo, that's pretty sweet. What are you? Why are you still alive? Get out of here, bud. Damn. That was good. That was a very good fight out of the way. And now we just got to refarm back up everything. And we're on day 82. Nice.
Alright, we're going to do a big jump here because there's a lot of repetitive content. But from day 83 to 90, it went a little bit something like this. For starters, I'd constantly have to farm myself Chaos Orbs and Spirit Orbs. On top of that, I'd be farming all of like the Origin Tributes, Demonic Parasaurs, everything needed for every sort of item I would be farming. I'd also be in Crop farming, Kibble farming, Nova the Destroyer farming, and Pickon farming, as you need to kill them both to actually create one of the giant titan things. Yeah, you need to kill them both like over and over again. I think you need to repeat them 4 times over to have enough to do all of them in general. So basically, throughout all of these days, that's what I was doing. I was dying a lot, getting a lot of eggs, and suffering. Nova the Destroyer wasn't too bad, as I could either just sit up high with one of my bees, or cheese him from inside the cave. The one that I constantly struggled with was Pickon, as even if he was outside the cave, his damage attacks could sometimes reach inside, and to top it off, sometimes he would fly off and just absolutely blow up my base. I lost a few tames that way, but anyway, I did it over and over again, constantly farming, and eventually, near on to day 90, we had these we had the Ice Colossus one, and we had the Fire Colossus one now. Yeah, it took me nearly like 7 to 8 days to farm up just 2 of those, so you can imagine how much I was suffering. But then, we had finally got 3 of them out the way, we would just have to kill them, and then we would have 1 remaining. And that means we would be able to fight Pon the Creator as soon as we had done that. But I'd still need to raise a bunch of tames in between, which I did. I was raising Pickons, I was raising Novas, but on day 91, which was kind of a bad day, I tried to kill another Pickon and it absolutely nuked my base and killed all of the babies. Yeah, that was a big setback, to be honest, as we lost like 3 of the Pickons I was raising, and we lost a few of those Novas as well. But no matter, as we continued on to day 91, it was time to finally fight this Fire Colossus guy. And I wasn't going to take any risks this time around. I would just lead him to the entrance of the cave, power myself up, which I couldn't because he kept nerfing me, and I would just fight him from the inside and absolutely kill him. These like Microraptor things were so annoying though, I cannot lie. Most of day 91 though was just spent in this cave, throwing spikes at him until he would die. And when one of these things has like 2 billion health, yeah, it takes a while, so we're gonna skip over that anyway. Eventually, we made work of him, killed him, and we could finally leave the cave. On day 92, I actually ended up killing the Ice Colossus, and for some reason, I generally can't find the footage of me doing this. Maybe I didn't hit record at the time, or I'd accidentally just left it out. But we had finally gotten enough, well, I say enough, we had got 3 of the required medallions for this thing, and what was left was probably the hardest one. Electric, in my opinion, was the absolute worst of the bunch, but to get there, obviously, I had a bunch more farming to do with Pickons and Terra Novas, and you guys know the drill. Day 93 finally saw me farm up a lot. What was that? Farm up a lot. You guys can tell I'm quite tired and I've been doing this for a while. Anyways, we had the Electrous Colossus boss, and I was severely underprepared for this. Sure, my Thorny Dragon did quite a bit of damage per hit, probably ticking away nearly 100 million health, but that wasn't gonna prepare me for the little Archie things. Yeah, they absolutely mess me up, and if you're not in powered mode, which you're not for half of this fight, you get absolutely swamped. So I would constantly have to like use a new strat, which was going in and out of the cave non-stop and just poking away at him, and when he would turn back around to attack me, as he just kept losing aggro, I would have to run back inside and rinse and repeat, and we had finally killed him. But on day 94, it saw the last bit of farming I would actually have to do. I'd have to kill 1 more Nova, a bunch of the old other tames that I would need to kill, and then I would need to kill my last Pickon, which I finally did, and we finally had enough to create Pon the Creator. Well, no, Pon the Revenge, I think it's called. I don't know, too many names. Anyway, we had a bunch of those upgrade things that I probably could have used, but for now, it was time to finally craft what this whole challenge had been building up to. The final boss of this DLC crafted just as we go into day 95. Day 95 to 97 actually saw me quite do like
a few different things, so I'm going to choose to include them. For starters, I basically spent the first couple of days just breeding, raising, and hatching all of these pick-ons, all these novas that I had been farming up, and then I wanted to go grab myself another one of those spirit bees, as I had a few more novas to farm up that I would want to take into the boss fight, and this is probably the most effective way at killing them. And with the bee, it absolutely shredded every nova I killed. I think I killed around 3 of them, which I farmed in these last couple of days. And then we had an army of a good 6 novas, I think, to take into the boss fight. But yeah, over these last, like, 2 days, it was basically just that. Breeding, hatching, taming some new stuff. And that was basically it. Just mostly preparing mentally for the final fight ahead. God, this has been one long journey. Day 97, we're nearly there. I think I'm going to start the boss fight as it goes nighttime on day 99. But if we die, I'm not re-farming everything. Because, oh my god, it's taken me forever to do all of this. Like, from day 80 to, like, 99, we'll just call it. Obviously, I haven't reached it there. But it's just been non-stop farming these guys, non-stop farming Pick-on, Origins, Reaper Empress, Indom Empress. Like, I've got so many in the workbench sitting there of the Indoms and Demonic Reaper Empresses that I probably should raise and tame. But I can't be asked to do that because I'm just going to leave it up to the Novas. And if the Novas and the Pick-ons can't do it, then I guess I'm just bad. And I've failed this 100 days. But it's been a long journey, to say the least. It's been a long journey. Nearly 2 weeks of filming. So many deaths. A lot of creatures lost, especially my goat, the Chaos Bee, who died in the recent days in the water. Bro got drowned and then slapped up. But we've been cheesing quite a lot of this game so far. Like, if that wasn't for the Viking Bay Cave, we probably would have died to a lot of these boss fights. So, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I don't know. I'm really curious. Been a fun one, though. Day 98 saw me doing the final prep before the big fight, and that was basically raising all the Terra Novas. Well, I keep saying Terra Novas, it's the wrong mod. But yeah, raising all of these Novas up that I needed to, making sure they were fully imprinted, saddled up, and all ready to go. And my chosen point for the boss battle would be Highlands NE, as I remember seeing in someone's video that you want to fight this boss in open land, as your dinos can get stuck, it can get them stuck, it has weird AI, and sometimes it can de-aggro, which you can use to your advantage from a long range. Which I definitely was going to do, as my plan was to sit on one of the Novas from a distance, and let all of these bad boys go in. God damn, all this farming looks like it's paid off. Oh my god. My little golden man just sitting there, bro. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including my hotbar Nova Destroyers. And I've got 3 Pick-ons on me, with a bunch of them obviously dying. I'm pretty sure I showed it earlier, if I do show it, but we got nuked and all the baby Pick-ons died as I was raising them. But we're doing good. My plan is to basically surround... I'm going to move these Pick-ons back a bit. But I'm going to surround the boss, and hopefully all of them can aggro on. Now, I don't even know if I'm going to bother putting potions in all of these guys, as that'll probably just... There's no point. I'd have to go around in a circle and try and potion them all up at once. But this is it. Everything I've been working towards for this 100 days is here. And I've got one more day. So I guess for day 99, I'm just going to sit around and chill and pray to every single god on the planet, because... if I lose this, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself if I lose this. Alright, Pick-on's revenge boss summon. Oh god, bro, I'm scared. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I think I'm going to start it in a second, and we're going to give this guy a go. I'm going to sit up here, keep my distance with my one, and just let all of these guys do the work, basically. Whew! This has been it. It's been a long journey on Primal Fear, guys. It's been a long one, to say the least. And I thoroughly enjoyed it as a PvP player coming into PvE territory. This has been a shock for me, because there is quite a lot of stuff to do that you forget about, especially when you play on PvP. So I feel like as a player, doing this, it's definitely made me better. On a PvE side, like farming, knowing resource locations. If I was to go on a Primal Fear PvP server now, give me like 2-3 days, I'd be alpha. But this is it. It's time. can't tell. No, nothing's attacking him. Huh? What? Why is it bugged? There we go. Finally in the mix. They're attacking now. Oh my god, what? It just wasn't working. Being absolutely melted. Being absolutely melted. I can't lose this. There's no way. Oh my god, he's dead! Pickle has been complete! It's over! Oh! What's up? What's this? What's this? Why is my game bugged? Alright, no matter. We did it! Picon's dead! Day 101, so it took 2 days to kill him. And we've completed Primal Fear, finally. Obviously, there's a few bosses I skipped, but I'm not doing those, bro. We got the super torch now. You know what I'm saying? 4 Terra Nova, well, 3 Terra Novas, 4 survived. Sorry. Damn. This has been a long ride, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Primal Fear series, and if this does well, another 100 days will come soon. But yeah, I guess I can just log off here. We've completed it. Everything's dead. For the last time.